Kabira Mobility. Now you would be forgiven if you don't know about this new Indian electric startup. Heck, even we didn't know about it until Auto Expo 2020, where the brand showcased few electric scooters and this, the KM3000 electric sport bike. And over the course of 2020, it also managed to build a sporty electric naked called the KM4000. We are here at the brand's headquarters in Goa to test out these bikes. Well, at these, they're production ready prototypes, and to find out just how electrifying the performance of these bikes is and whether they are actually any good. But before we go ahead, make sure you subscribe to the channel and are part of our awesome notification squad. So let's start with the sportier of the two motorcycles, which Kabira has found in its survey that it's the KM4000, and accordingly they have given it a similarly sportier tune. So it has a claimed top speed of 120 kmph, it does 0 to 40 kmph in 3.1 seconds, and even has more range, 150 km to be exact. And when you compare it to its fully fed sibling, this does feel a little bit more sportier. When you compare it to Ather 450X, which is the performance benchmark in the electric space in India today, this doesn't really feel that exciting. Even the run up to say 50-55 kmph, it feels a bit slow. It feels almost IC engine like.
And by IC engine, we mean like a 150cc bike. It got to about 80-85 kmph somewhat easily, but beyond that, you'll need a lot of road and patience to get to 100 kmph. When it comes to handling, the front end feels rather vague and at times makes you feel that it might wash out mid-corner. This isn't helped by the fact that the handlebar is pointing upward, as are the foot pegs, making for a rather awkward riding position. Thankfully, the tires are pretty decent and hold up well.
But ride quality, man, it's really confusing because the front forks are set up on the softer side, and since there is so much weight on the rear, this never really compresses, and more so the rear is stiffly sprung. So whenever you're going over broken surfaces, there is a lot of the crashing feeling that you experience, and definitely has a stiff ride setup.
Coming to the KM3000, although it looks like a pakka sport bike, Kabira claims that this is their more practical everyday option. But is it?
The riding posture is fairly accessible. It's not too aggressive like a sport bike, but not too laid back like a tourer as well. So there is a bit forward reach to get to the bars. The pegs are slightly rear set, and there is lots of room in the saddle to move around quite easily. Even for larger riders like me, they'll find the seat to be quite spacious. It handles better than the KM4000 because you are putting in slightly more weight on the front and it's more natural in terms of cornering. But its performance, like they said, this is a more sensible bike, so the performance is slightly dialed down. Claimed top speed is 100 kmph, 0 to 40 it takes 3.3 seconds, which is 0.2 seconds more than the KM4000, and even range has gone down to just 120 km, which is surprising because this is a slightly less powerful motorcycle and the battery packs are the same. So why this drop in range?
That's because it has only 80% depth of discharge, and hence usable battery capacity is just 4 kWh.
Ride quality is marginally improved, but not as much as for us to call it pliant. The same stiff suspension setup from the KM4000 makes its way onto the 3000 as well. But since over here you're loading the front a bit more and are not sitting on the rear monoshock directly, you do not feel the bumps as much.
Kabira has some innovative charging solutions in the pipeline that will allow the buyer to switch between eco and boost charging modes without needing to have a separate fast charging setup. Charging in eco mode takes roughly 2 hours 50 minutes from 0 to 80%, but with boost charging you can shave off nearly 2 hours of charge time. You can switch between the two modes via a dedicated smartphone app, which is under development and will be available by May 2021.
But there is no getting over the fact that there are some glaring issues with these prototypes. Firstly, the build quality on them is extremely shoddy with cheap plastics used all around. The paint is peeling off at places and even the vinyls are coming off. Loose wiring and ugly welds are prominently visible. Then there's the braking department. The lack of stopping power is outright dangerous. Grab a handful of the front brake lever on the 4000 and it travels all the way to meet the throttle. The brand says that there is CBS and regeneration, both of which we couldn't experience on our time with the bike. Lastly, we got to address the elephant in the room, and that is the design of both of these bikes, which Kabira claims it's their own, but we think a certain Japanese manufacturer who makes green mean machines will beg to differ.
The KM3000 has gone on sale at Rs 1.27 lakh, while the racier KM4000 comes bearing a price tag of Rs 1.37 lakh, both prices ex-showroom Goa. For the performance on offer, the pricing feels relatively reasonable.
But irrespective of the prices, there is still a lot of work to be done on both of these bikes by Kabira for us to even think about recommending them to you.
Can they address all these issues and deliver on the promise these bikes hold? Given the fact that they've already gone ahead and launched the bikes, we are a little skeptical. But you never know, they might just turn around and surprise us. One thing is for sure, they certainly have their work cut out for them.